I'm Shane Culp, and right now I work at NPD Networks, Director of Development. But actually what I want to talk about is my previous position, which was at Blockdot. That was a small game company down in Dallas. They work on casual games and advergames. They've been around for, I think, around 7 years or so now. So when I got started there, they were doing a lot more casual games than they were advergames. Back 7 years ago, you could make a little bit more money doing that because the market wasn't quite exploded. But as time went on, they started getting more and more advergames. This is their company website, and they also run a game portal called coolbox.com. So when I started there, the lead developer had stepped down and I was taking over, and I was the only developer. And so the first thing I did was go looking through the server, and I found this game that I thought was really funny and interesting. It had 5 levels on it. It was a small prototype that they didn't really get very far on. It's all programmer art. They didn't really do much with it, and I kind of wanted to know, what's the deal. The first thing I asked was like, maybe some of you guys have seen this game from March. I thought it looked very similar to that, so I was like, well, did you guys plan on that, or what was the deal? And they said no, they actually hadn't seen this before. They had a couple other games in mind, but these 2 games, the Goobs and this game, Ogre Energizer, that was on Miniclip. They were doing a lot of work with Miniclip at the time, Shockwave.com, and Real Arcade. And they looked at these games, and they thought they were interesting little puzzle games, and they wanted to do something similar, but these were 2D and more flat, and they thought it would be more interesting to go into an isometric world. And but what had happened was they worked on it for a little bit and really couldn't gain any, they couldn't get a lot interested in it. They kind of got bored with it. The artist wanted to make something with monkeys, and then the programmer started messing around with algorithms on mazes that would be generated randomly. So they ended up doing this thing, which also went absolutely nowhere. So basically what was, they didn't really have a good theme or any idea. So after about a year there, I was working on more client work, and I took a vacation. We hadn't done any more with that game, but it was still in the back of my head. So, I like to travel, and went through Europe. This is in Belgium, France, Switzerland. So when I was in Switzerland, I heard this story about these 3 mountains, the Maiden, the Monk, and the Ogre. And the important thing with the story was that the monk's in the middle because the monk is actually protecting the Maiden from the Ogre. So that kind of stuck in my head, and I thought it was kind of an interesting little story, and I liked the name of it. And then back home, there was a pub that we used to hang out at called the Old Monk. And he used to always stare at this little guy on the menu, and I would think more and more about it. That original concept had multiple characters, and they all kind of needed to be the same, or at least look the same. They had thought about doing garden gnomes, but it didn't really take off, right? So I thought about this again. I thought, well, Maiden, Monk, and Ogre. I think I've got a theme for this. I've kind of got a basic idea. I think we should pick that code back up and start going with it. So I ran this by some of the guys that I work with, and my original intention, like I said, I've been doing a lot of client work, and I knew that that's kind of how you could get behind a project is by offering it to a client, and then they'll pay for it. So Verizon came along, they were on a project, and what it was going to be was 3 casual games on CD-ROM that they were going to burn and then give away to promote their DSL service at Best Buy stores and CompUSA. So I wanted to pitch it to Verizon, and all the guys in the company said, no, the idea is way too good. We need to save it for ourselves and do it as a casual game. So what ended up happening was these are the 3 games we ended up making for that project. And you can see the artist finally got his wish and was able to throw a monkey in the game. So then after this, this took several months to work on this project, and that kind of took us away from working on the Maiden, Monk, and Ogre game. But after a while, after that project, we actually did get started on it. And the first thing I did was build this level editor. So this kind of actually shows you, 2D top-down, kind of like old, Dungeons & Dragons style, and do it on some graph paper. There's a little menu across the bottom, but that actually shows what it looks like within the game. So again, we had to stop because we had a big client project come along, but we were all pretty happy about it because it was for Star Wars. And it was a promotion with Skittles, so there shows the on-pack promotion, and we got to go and read the script for Star Wars Episode 3 about 6 months early, and then so, whatever. So then when we got back, I started handing out that level editor to everybody in the company. At this point, we'd grown. I was originally the only developer. Now I've got like 4 or 5 programmers. We also have a team of artists, and now we're up to 10, 12 people. We've doubled in size. So everybody there, I gave this little level editor to, because the first thing I wanted was more levels. But during that time, people were making levels. We had this new artist on board that started playing around with pre-rendered graphics. So we started building all these different different kind of locales. You know, we did this forest, which you've already seen, and then a castle and cellar, and then we started doing this dynamic, background. And then we started putting more polish on it. We actually got a writer on board to write part of a story, and we started adding menu systems with other gameplay modes and dynamic banner ads and challenge a friend and things like that. Try to help it go viral. And the kind of things that we would need to get it on with realarcade.com, like some of the other games. So typically, this is what we would do. For a casual game, we would try to budget about 500 hours, which if we were paying, if we were charging that to the client, that'd be about $75,000. But I checked the budget at this point, and we'd already spent 1,400 hours on it. So, $200,000 now has been spent on this because of all the time building all these levels and everything, and all this art, and kind of starting and stopping. But I guess, really, you can still kind of make a little bit of money on it because what we ended up doing is selling a portion of it, like 10 levels, to Post Serial. So you can see it here, Fred and Barney kind of wander around in the same little land. So now this is like, 4 or 5 years in, I'm working there, and we still have not released this game. And so that's the whole reason I kind of wanted to go on a little rant about it. So now I left, and now I'm at TV, and it's still not released. So.